slightly,
Or
but
static, not feedback.
but it's not that bad.
No.
We're live.
We're still doing the intro, right, Isali?
We're live right now.
Do you guys do like a?
Have you not seen the show?
Oh,
Do
we're
you
live.
do you sing for the intro?
I don't sing.
I think you should. I think that would be a cool intro.
Nobody wants to hear me sing.
Paul, we're live.
We're live.
Yes.
What happened to the countdown?
I texted you about it. I told you I'm going to add it after because we didn't do a pre-promo.
Okay. What is up, everyone? We are live. I didn't realize we were live. What is going on? We're in our new podcast studio, so it's a little bit different. We're trying to do a few different things. As you can see, we've got three people in the podcast studio. We've got myself, Paul Apostolakis. We've got my co-host, Mr. Tom Lauer. And we've got Mr. Jeff Rutledge here from Sotheby's, who's going to be talking to us just about a lot of different things. I invited him in last second. He was very gracious enough to make it to the show. So thank you for making it to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So for those of you that have just found us, thank you for tuning in. Please go to Facebook.com/IRE podcast if you want to see us live. For those of you listening on the podcast app, I mean, you can't really see, but we've got a whole new podcast studio that's pretty badass. And then, from there, we're going to, hopefully get some more viewership. I think viewership is going to go up because of this.
Well, I think it's the guest that we have on that's going to make viewership go up, Paul, and your new co-host.
Yeah, and my new co-host, right?
Yeah, we're going in a whole new direction.
Yeah. So as we build this out, guys, I mean, the show's going to get better and better. Obviously, this is more of a dry run than anything. Next week we've got more guests as we do every other week. So please tune in. If you like, please like, share, subscribe, and give us a review. That always does help. So let's just start off with some topics. I want to talk about today. I want to talk about Quicken and them letting a lot of people go in the mortgage industry. A lot of people in the mortgage industry are being let go right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of turmoil in that.
No doubt.
I want to talk about the vapor lock in the real estate market, which Tom and I watched something on vapor lock. And then we're going to talk marketing. That's something that's really near and dear to Jeff's heart. And what was the other thing we were going to talk about?
Well, I'd like to ask Jeff.
Quicken layoffs.
Yeah, we're going to ask Jeff some
Put me in
questions.
the hot seat. That'd be
Oh,
great.
yeah, quicken layoffs. Well, I said quicken layoffs. Yeah, quicken layoffs. So we'll talk about that. But let's start off with Jeff. Jeff, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, dude. So give us a little bit about your background real quick before we get started.
Yeah. So right out of high school, I could have gone to college, but who needs college? I
Right.
decided to play professional soccer for a few years. And then I got into sales and marketing, doing door-to-door sales. And I soon realized that when doors get slammed in your face, it gets a little bit tiring. You know what I mean? And so what I decided to do is just kind of go on an entrepreneurial journey into the world of media and production. And fast forward a few years ago, we created a documentary film that was done just a little bit differently where, like, for example, if you're watching a movie, you're really watching the last 1% of what it took to really make that feature. And so we decided, let's do everything backwards and allow for people on the internet to actually help us direct and produce the feature.
Yeah.
And so this concept actually got us into Forbes magazine, into High Times magazine. We got to meet some of the biggest players in the industry that we were focused on. We were actually focused on the cannabis industry. And then at that same time, somehow I was able to acquire the name Michigan Realty. And so I had just gotten licensed during this documentary film process to practice real estate. And so I said, you know what, maybe there's an opportunity here. And so I started diving into the world of real estate. And now we're here.
How long ago was that you started doing the real estate thing?
About 4 years ago.
4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wait,
So-
tell me more about the documentary. What's that all about?
Yeah. So it was called the Mary documentary.
The
And-
Mary, like Mary?
Mary. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it was just me and my buddy Justin. We were sitting on the couch. He was breaking down some weed and we were watching Netflix. And, I just started staring at this, TV and thinking to myself, we're creating production and commercial content for businesses. And why don't we do something for ourselves for once? I think part of my grievance was that businesses think that they want a certain thing on camera, but that thing typically doesn't translate into something that gets engagement and views and interest. And so, yeah, we'll take your money and we'll create that content for you, sure. But at the end of the day, I'm not very happy with it because I know that it's not going to perform.
Right.
So, we said let's do something for ourselves.
It'd be nice if they more focused on the result that they wanted,
Right.
like the feelings they want people to experience or the action they want them to take versus,
Totally.
hey, here's the creative direction we want to go. Right.
Right. Exactly. Well, I think systemically, a lot of people just hear that you should tell your story and they misinterpret what that means a
Okay.
lot. Okay. Like, for example, what they think it means is, hi, my name's Jeff and I'm a real estate agent here in Michigan. I love helping clients because of blah, blah, blah. Nobody gives a shit. Am I allowed to swear?
You're allowed to swear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody gives a shit. Okay. And so my pivot and what I would suggest to them is like a good story is like it's a blank screen. And then you hear an alarm going off. And then the next screen is a guy's feet going into the slippers under his bed.
Okay.
And then the next scene is him opening the cabinet and taking down the coffee.
Right. We've seen those.
Right.
Yeah.
So like there's no words there whatsoever, but you're following this succession of ideas that together come together to make a story without any words whatsoever. And people understand and they feel that. And that's what they mean by you should tell your story.
That's cool. Yeah. Do you have a background in filmmaking then, or did you just kind of stumble into that?
Bro, this kid, no, he doesn't have a background in anything except soccer.
I have a background in scoring goals.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
That's my background.
Yeah, he doesn't have a background in it. But I don't think in today's world, with YouTube and everything that's available to us, I don't think a background is necessary.
Correct.
Anymore. I think
Sure.
it's skill,
It's passion.
passion, and
passion
skill.
and curiosity.
Totally.
Yeah,
So wait, can we talk about soccer?
yeah, we
What-
can talk
what
about
do you
soccer.
think? What do you think about DCFC?
I mean, listen, I would rather see a Major League Soccer program here in Michigan. DCFC is the closest thing that we have, so of course I support them. The problem that I have is that their fan base, they don't want an MLS team.
No, they're very like Northern Guard.
Yeah.
Like, here's who we are. We don't want to change. Like,
That's right.
they probably want to stay at Keyworth. They want to keep doing
Yeah.
their thing and popping smoke and
That's right.
Yeah,
screaming obscenities.
I don't mind that culture. I think that culture is reminiscent of what you'd see back in like England when
For
the
sure.
hoodlums are getting crazy in the stands. But for me personally, I would just rather see that next level.
Yeah,
here in
I
Michigan.
got you. Maybe this gets us there.
Maybe.
Because
Yeah.
I think they're doing some good things. They're
they
on
just
a
had
run
their,
right
they
now.
just had their
They're on.
first
Yeah.
MLS game. They're doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah, they won.
They beat them 2-1.
Yeah, they beat an MLS soccer club.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the deal.
it was in the Open Cup, and the Open Cup is essentially all the different tiers of soccer, including the amateur tiers, that get to compete against the best clubs in the country,
Wow.
and they narrow it down to see who's the best in the United States.
yeah. Well, welcome to the show, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you for having
we
me.
really appreciate you doing this last minute. It's going to be fun. So what I did want to talk about something that's happening right now, which is in our backyard. It's literally the mortgage market right now. Mortgage interest rates have gone up a tremendous amount over the last year. Right?
Payments have gone up 40% in the last 365 days.
Payments have gone up 40%.
Payments.
Yeah, 40%, which is a big increase.
People say, "Oh, rates went up 2%." No. Payments went up 40%.
40%. That's
Let's
a
call it what it really
big
is.
difference, right? So with that being said, a lot of people that were doing refinance business in the mortgage game are being let go. I mean, Quicken just recently let go 8% of their workforce. Matt Ishbia gave him a little shit about that. That he's like, I don't know, he doesn't like the idea of people getting laid off. He's not laying off anybody, he's saying, which is interesting. I don't know how you don't lay off in this market. How do you not lay off in this market?
Well, the article didn't really go into what business units they were laying off, did it?
Not it didn't say all business units. They are giving them really nice packages for their exit. So it's not like they're just throwing them on the street. I think they're giving them
No.
severance packages.
And it's tough to make those decisions, lay people off, but I mean, you need to be accountable to the financials at some point. If the revenue's not there, it's something that has to happen. Like, what are you going to do? Continue to bleed? Like, you have to take action to save your business.
Well, Matt's point was basically that that they've made so much money over the last few years that they should have enough money to cover that right now. That's really what they're trying to say.
But for what reason? Just because you have enough money that you can keep people on that you don't need, like what?
Right.
What's the point of that?
Do you think it's just a posturing?
I think it's just Matt trying to be a dick because he sees something. You know what I mean? That's what I see.
Something to jump
You know,
on.
Matt's gonna troll Quicken at any chance he can. He's just a troll.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Quicken's going to do though. Like uh-oh.
It's all right.
We didn't put these up yet, Paul.
No, we look at
This
this.
is our temporary podcast
Yeah,
studio.
yeah.
OSHA, yeah.
Yeah, we're working on it.
So it's going to be Quicken's really smart. They got a ton of money and there's a bunch of brilliant minds there. It's going to be interesting to see how they do pivot in a market moving forward where you got, I don't know how many people, but over 50% at rates under 3.5 probably. Right. So, and we know Quicken was always refinance heavy.
Yeah.
That's kind of what their business has been built on. So
Yeah.
to see how they pivot is going to be interesting. Obviously, they've been doing the wholesale stuff for a while, but I'm interested to see what happens with Rocket Homes, how far they push that, how far they really try to get realtor business, which is going to be an uphill battle for them.
Yeah.
Right.
It is.
Why is it an uphill battle?
Well, I want to be careful with what I say, but in my personal experience, courting the opportunity to work with Rocket Homes, it wasn't necessarily the direction that I wanted to go.
Yeah.
And, a lot of what I value is based on good communication.
Right.
And I felt as if there could have been an improved environment of communication.
With Rocket Homes.
Correct.
It's interesting. It's just so the audience understands. So Rocket Mortgage has got Rocket Homes, and what they try to do is they try to marry the real estate agent with their loan officer so that they can work together. But they take a big commission split from that, right?
Yep,
right. So how much do they take per deal?
I didn't even want to get into. I don't even want to get into that because it's not necessarily my business. But I know that it wasn't something that I felt was going to be conducive to my success, and I felt like there's other opportunities out there with smaller lenders that could provide greater opportunities for myself as an agent.
Right.
So
right.
Jeff, have you had
and I'm being very careful, obviously, with what I'm communicating.
Why?
About them.
Why are you being careful?
Just because it's never good to poke a bear, and with the name Michigan Realty, I have to be. I think I've already alluded to enough to where people can understand that there's some potential issues there.
You're gonna need to move your hand out of the camera view, buddy.
Oh, sorry, Paul.
Yeah,
He's
no
got
problem.
no.
I was
He's
blocking
just
Paul.
modeling his nails.
When you say something I don't like, I'm just gonna shut you right out. Did it refocus back on you though?
Yeah.
Okay. You look good.
Yeah, I look good.
Okay. Jeff, do you have any listings out there right now?
We just sold my last listing, so now
Nice.
I'm completely empty. It was a $500,000 home in Birmingham,
Yeah.
and actually, in line with this interest rate issue that's happening, one of the buyers that we accepted an offer from, we actually had to get a letter that they declined, and they had to renege on their offer because their interest rate happened to go up, and they didn't get a interest rate lock.
See, that's happening.
Yeah, and so now we're on to buyer number 2.
You had to go to buyer number 2
We had to go to buyer number 2
because of interest rates.
because of interest rates.
Do you, when you are in the mindset of providing those offers to your client to, advise them through the best scenario, does it matter to you what that pre-approval looks like or who it's with?
Yes, it does. For example, the buyer number 2 was a hard money loan. We were less inclined to take that due to the uncertainty of how solvent we could get that deal to be.
I can't believe you even looked at a hard money loan, to be honest with you, as an option.
Yeah, no, we well, first of all, the purchase price of that hard money loan was significantly higher than
Sure.
Well, it had to be.
what we.
There's always trade-offs when you're looking at that offer, right?
You're looking at that offer. So did that hard money loan close?
Yeah, we're closing on that.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's awesome.
Great.
Somehow.
But it does matter when you
But
see
I think so,
pre-approvals
yeah.
come through. You do tend to lean one way or the other depending on the pre-approval.
That's correct.
If you see one come across, that is a lender you've worked with before and it was successful, you're probably more inclined to tell your client, like, hey, I've had a smooth experience with this mortgage lender. This one I don't know of, never seen them before.
Correct.
This one's a big bank, and I've, typically they're slow. Whatever it is, you have these preconceived notions.
Correct. And I already know, like, for example, what you just said, like if it's a big bank and they're a little bit slower, I already know that, hey, if I'm telling my seller, hey, let's accept this offer, but just be prepared that we're going to have to add an addendum to extend some time out because I have already worked with them a few times.
Right.
A couple weeks behind.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a very reasonable thing, I think. And most realtors do take into consideration the lending source.
Well, I asked that because, some of these bigger banks get frustrated with that. I think that's part of the problem Quicken deals with is that negative perception in realtors. And it's not that they think they're bad. It's just that they're offering their client the best advice. And based on their past experiences, this is the advice that they're offering.
That's correct.
Right.
One thing, and not to pick on Quicken, but but I am. But one thing that I have noticed is that a lot of their pre-approvals are very flimsy.
And what do you mean by that?
Well, they don't go through underwriting. They don't get.
Well, some of them do. Some of them do. They've got a product that does. But here's the problem with Quicken, in my opinion, is there's a lot of sales pressure to get pre-approvals from them.
Spaghetti to the wall.
Yeah,
right.
There's a lot of sales. There's a pressure coming from above saying, "Where's your pre-approvals? Where's your pre-approvals?" Right. And if you've got people doing that and saying, "Where's your pre-approvals? Where's your pre-approvals?" you're going to get people that are going to feel forced to put together deals that aren't real deals, unfortunately, because they need to please their sales leader. And that's what you end up getting. You have a culture, unfortunately, at Quicken of go, 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 numbers, 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 numbers. And when you've got a culture like that, which in the refinance world works fine, but when you're doing purchases, purchases have a lot of moving parts. Purchases are not simple like a refinance. And if a purchase goes south, you got people with moving vans that don't have a house.
Right.
A refinance goes south, the person's still living in the house. They're not going to really. It's not the end of the world. I tried to refinance, it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to I tried to buy a house, I packed up my whole life, put it in the back of a truck. And that's unfortunately the reality of what a lot of these banks have and do.
Right.
Yeah. And that's why I think the smaller lender in today's market is more nimble and more able. The broker model, in my opinion, right now is probably the safest bet and most efficient way, depending on the brokerage that you're using. It is broker specific.
Right.
It's even loan officer specific, to be honest with you. You could have a great loan officer at a bad company, and it doesn't matter. They're a great loan officer at a bad company.
Well, in the same way, I was just mentioning that communication is really important to me when working with a lender. And so I find that the best communication and the best relationships are typically ones that are built with smaller boutique lenders. I mean, there's just a more of a family environment that allows me to say, hey, I know that this lender's cell phone number is right in my phone and I can just call them whenever.
And they're across town. They're 7 miles
Yeah.
away. If you need to drive in and see them or bring docs or whatever, you can physically see that person. You'll probably physically see a broker a lot more than you'll ever physically see someone from a big bank.
Correct. I agree. I think that's very important.
Like if you see a pre-approval come with my name on it from Range Lending, it's going to hold more water just because you know my reputation.
Correct. Yeah. Just yesterday, we were talking to a potential client, and I had told him, "Hey, every deal that I have ever gotten from Paul has had no problems whatsoever."
Yeah.
And I can say that confidently because there's an actual relationship that I have with you.
Right. Of course. As opposed to having, some random person at Chase.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I'll never talk to them again.
You won't talk to them. No. They've got too many. They're siloed too much.
There's much less skin in the game. Like Paul has to do a good job for you because he knows that one mess up and you're gone. Your business is gone.
Right.
Yeah.
The guy at Chase who's in North Carolina or whatever just doesn't really care who Jeff is.
Right.
Or the client sometimes.
That's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. So what else were we going to talk about, guys? Let's talk about the Fed hike that's coming up.
Ooh, today.
Another Fed hike is happening. So Today, Powell, well, not Powell, yeah, he'll be speaking,
Mhm.
right? Telling us. So the consensus is that rates are going to go up 50 basis points, which is half a percent. There is a chance that they're leaving on the table that they might do 0.75% because they're so fucking far behind in raising rates. I mean, inflation has gotten to a point that's it's a real problem. But as rates keep going up, that only exasperates. Here we go. See, Fed tightened with big height asset runoff decision day guide, right? They're expected to do a 0.5 point. They're going to be tapering back their mortgage bond buybacks. They're going to be doing a lot of things like that to slowly. They're fighting inflation.
Curtail inflation.
They're fighting inflation, but it's like fighting inflation with a water hose instead of, you know what I mean?
Well, right, because we're just too far behind the curve because everything was transitory inflation, so we just didn't take action because we had these talking points that it wasn't real, and now that it's real, it's like, we've got a monster, and we didn't start attacking it early enough.
Yeah, they didn't do enough early enough. Now the blaze is firing in all cylinders, right? And now they're trying to put it out with this little little water hose.
10-year right now is at 2.99, so we're almost back to the 3 handle.
We hit 3%. Yeah, I mean,
we hit it a couple days ago, right? And then
yeah,
it came off it.
I mean, people need to get used to the idea that rates are around 6%,
which is not high.
Which is not high historically.
It's not 3%'s not high. It's just not. When you look at the last 30 years, 6% is not high.
No, 6% is
6% is not high.
I feel like 6%. Yeah, 6%. I feel like is like right where it should be. You know what I mean? Like it feels like, okay, 6% is healthy, but we might be at 9% or 7% or 8%. We're not. I mean, it's not crazy to say.
Why would you think we won't be in double digits in the next 24 months?
Double digits?
Double digits.
You're saying 10%?
Correct.
I don't see that happening.
Because it's too far too fast, or because we just will never hit double digits again?
It would take so much to get to double digits. I don't think that it's impossible that we're going to get to double digits. I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's very possible, depending on what inflation does. I think we go into a recession before we get to that point.
Got it.
That's what I think.
And then the Fed will stop raising while we're in recession.
Correct. If anything, they could start bringing back some of the tapering.
However, what if this supply chain issue, right? China's shut down. It's been shut down for a long time. A lot of products come from there. A lot of the reason we saw price hikes in non-mortgage related things are because supply chain issues, right? So if this supply continues to be a problem and prices continue to go up while we're in a recession, then what, Paul?
So repeat that again. So prices
continue to go up while we're in a recession.
Then you've got hyperinflation.
Stagflation.
I think we're already there. Some economists already think that we're in a situation of hyperinflation. I mean, 33% of all cash that's in currency or in flow right now was printed in the last 2 years.
Yeah. Not a big deal. Yeah, 33% of all money in circulation.
1/3.
I mean, we printed trillions of dollars of money. It's gonna devalue our dollar.
On top of 10-year period where we were doing QE.
Yep.
Held rates artificially low.
Yep.
QE on top of it to hold it even more artificially low.
Yep.
I think everything swings, right? Everything, like the more pressure, like the beach ball analogy, the harder you push it underwater, the farther it goes down. When it escapes, it pops.
Right.
It pops up, and it pops up fast.
Yeah.
So who knows? People are going to still have to buy and sell real estate, though. And typically, people aren't going to have enough cash to do it. So mortgages will always be a thing.
Yeah, mortgages will always be a thing. Now we talked about this vapor lock issue that so we were watching this TikTok, Tom and I and this guy called it a vapor lock. There goes,
it's okay.
All right. So we called it, this thing's falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
Called it a vapor lock, and they called it vapor lock because your fingers. Thank you, buddy. They called it a vapor lock because it basically you've got people not moving out of their house, and since rates have gone up and they're at 3%, they're not going to move into a house that's at 6%, because even if it's the same priced house, their payments going up 40%, like we talked about, for the same priced house, right? So if they're trying to upgrade or whatever they're trying to do, so you're going to see much less. Oh, here we go. Danny Schick's monthly supply of homes right now. If you guys are watching at home, look at the screen. We are at an all-time low for month of supply on houses. It doesn't get any lower than this. Look at this. Yeah. And then look at the median sales price. It's like a boner.
That's bananas. Yeah.
Right? And then you've got days on market. I mean, what are we at 11 days on market?
Yeah, that's our area and MLS. So.
That's in our area here in Metro Detroit. We're on 11 days on market.
So imagine some of those other higher demand markets.
Like
4 or 5 days on
like
market?
if you go to like the Bay Area,
right?
Like what is that at?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
But that's a vapor lock.
That's a vapor lock. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
People aren't moving.
Right.
So there's less houses on the market. And then you've got a ton of people wanting to buy, which is going to keep increasing the values of houses. That's not going to slow it down. The supply demand issue is our biggest issue in housing prices, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't see that changing because we're in a vapor lock. Now, he did say that one side would end up giving, right? You'll see more houses come on the market or you'll see less people wanting to buy, but one of them is going to give. Which one do you think is going to be? Are we going to lose people in the market, or are we going to just have people start selling their houses out of the blue?
I think we're going to have less buyers.
Less buyers.
I would agree. I think it's happening already. You know, I've had people that were pre-approved 3 months ago.
Yeah.
You know, and they were just on the edge of buying a $150,000 house, right? Their DTI was supporting that at the time, and now they're just not there anymore because, again, payments went up 40%, and they're just out of the market. You know, they're like, Tom, what do I do? I can't find an $80,000 house. Well, you got to continue to rent. You know, so people that don't have the means, that DTI means, they're in trouble, and it happens at the high end too. You know, just because you have a bunch of money, typically what I see is DTI is about the same for everybody. If you make 50 grand a year, you make 500 grand a year, typically your DTI is about the same. So it's everybody is being pushed down as prices are going up, right?
Right.
So I don't know. Man, be a great time to be in home improvement, I think, or swimming pools.
Home Depot's going to have a hell of a year.
I bet.
Home Depot's going to have a hell of a year. If you were going to buy some stock, it's probably a good stock to buy into.
People are staying put and they're going to improve their homes.
100%.
And they've got a ton of equity in their homes.
A ton of equity.
A home equity line.
Tell me that home equity lines aren't going to be a big.
Oh my gosh, they're going to be great. They're going to explode again.
Home equity lines are going to become a thing.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, they've been creeping back the last couple of years, but yeah, I think
there's so much equity locked away.
2 years from now, you're really going to see that be a big thing again, like they were back in the 90s.
Or
early 2000.
The home equity lines are going to blow up. Yep. And then, people aren't going to refinance their first mortgage because we're going to have such good rates.
Yep.
It's going to be an interesting market, man.
And with all of this, deadlock, it's vapor lock, right?
The vapor lock. Yep.
While lenders are still going to have opportunities to find pockets to make money, realtors are going to be left high and dry.
Yeah.
And so now it becomes, how does a realtor pivot in this market to make their name known?
Yeah, we could. Yeah. I mean, there's so much competition.
Tons.
Right. So how does a real estate agent in today's market stand out?
Well, in my mind, I think it's the number one thing is, if you want to be a successful real estate agent in this market, you've got to have listings. You've got to know how to get a listing. And even though they're very hard to come by, you're going to just spin your wheels if you're just buyer focused. So you've got to find a way to learn how to list houses would be number one. And then I think number two is you got to find those niche buyers that are going to be able to make deals happen.
Right. I agree. My biggest my biggest issue that I have with realtors marketing, especially when it comes to listing a house, is most of them take pictures with a cell phone, or they do a basic video where
Right.
it's, let's describe this for a second. Okay. I just want you guys to imagine this, right? You got some bullshit techno music in the background, right?
It's
Okay.
It's
Right?
It's,
And then it's the drone video that that flies around the house. Okay. Now you're flying around the house, right? Then the drone swings down and the door magically swings open.
Yup.
And then you go,
And then it speeds up.
Yeah, tons of speed ramping,
Mhm.
right? And then that's it.
Yeah.
But that's what sells, baby.
No, it doesn't. No,
That's what sells.
that's like Kay Jeweler just showing the ring.
That is what sells.
No, I don't know. No, I
uh.
mean, I get it. Like, it's important. You should display the features and the benefits of the house, and that's all great. But if you really want to get more listings, and if you really want to make a name for yourself, you have to pull them in a different direction.
Pull them in what direction?
Just a more entertaining direction, because that, my friends, puts me to sleep. Okay.
You go Nani?
Sure.
Yeah.
call it Nani in
Nani.
even with the techno music, I go to sleep.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing that makes me want to pay attention. So when I think of a good piece of content for real estate, I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, there's this guy walking down the street with his dog. The dog runs away from him. And the dog now has a voice. Hell yeah, I'm glad I get away from that guy. I need to find my own place. And then he
Hold on a
sees,
second.
and then he
How
sees,
high were you when you came up with this idea?
well,
I
this,
like
this is
it.
a
I like
sober idea. Okay. I could pull out 100 of these, but it's now you're watching this dog on his journey to find a house. I mean, obviously,
Where are you gonna get a talking dog, bro?
well, first of all, I've got an awesome German Shepherd who I think we could train him to learn some English.
He
but
just speaks German right
here's,
now?
Here's one thing.
German right
Okay.
now. Right?
I'm gonna push back
Ah.
on that because that's a great idea.
Okay.
But how do you execute it?
With a good camera,
Okay.
okay, with some good audio equipment after in post production.
Right.
I mean, you could do it.
You
It's
can-
not the doing it.
Well, here's the other thing too. Is
it's
like
the doing it consistently. Like, let's say you had
that's true.
you had 5 houses, right? You had 5 houses and you 5 listings,
Yeah.
right? And you want to market all of them properly.
Yep.
But you're not you can't make a feature fucking film for every single one of them.
Well, it depends on how skilled you are. I think I could easily.
A talking dog feature film?
For sure. It's
How
so
do you, how are you
easy.
gonna get the talking dog? I'm just curious.
Well, first of all, let's just be honest. The dog's not actually talking.
Oh.
Okay. But in post production, you just do a voiceover. You have the camera behind the dog, so you never see the opening and closing of the mouth.
okay.
It's just like this audio effect in post production.
So the dog is like looking for a house now.
Yeah, so now he's looking for the house. He lays down on the tile. He's like, oh, yeah, I could definitely cool off in here. He runs into the backyard, does a bunch of zoomies, like, oh my God, I love this backyard. This is the greatest thing in the world. And then, of course, what a lot of people don't do that could be even more simplified is add in some animations where like the price comes up on the screen
Sure.
and then it comes back down, right? Or like the features and benefits come up on the screen or and then it comes back down. Or hell, put a voiceover of just yourself, like, here you've got 2,500 square feet and blah, blah, blah,
Do you
blah.
still have the techno music playing?
You can. I prefer not having techno music because I think it's very distracting.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Like, realtors who are looking for good music, there are plenty of databases out there that you can find good music that isn't like just
They
generic
have royalty free good music
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
can
exactly.
download, and a lot of places
from real
don't.
artists.
From real artists. And it is a little bit of a pet peeve of mine that realtors just use
They just download whatever like no copyright song is on YouTube and then they rip it from that.
what I think is interesting is the whole TikTok thing where they can use I see a lot of
Yeah.
good TikTokers out there like Sheil Sohal. He does a really good job with his TikToks. And I just don't get how they can create these TikToks in such fast forms, but apparently they're just boom, boom. They're going through these houses and creating really good content really quickly. You know what I mean?
Well, TikTok does make it easier because like they'll have, let's say a song, they select a song, then TikTok allows you to cut your clips in like predetermined moments of when that song drops a beat.
Right.
So it's actually very simple and cookie cutter. But like personally, I think that realtors should learn the art of video production from like a Premiere Pro or a Final Cut. Learn it from the raw form first, so that when you go to the TikTok platform, that is just stupid simple. And but you can really leverage YouTube and you can leverage Facebook by understanding and learning the different elements of a Premiere Pro system or a Final Cut system.
Yeah, but dude, I don't think that like as a realtor, like not all realtors are going to have that skill.
No, and that's why I think, you know, especially in this type of market, you're going to see a lot of realtors go out of business and find another job. And the people that are willing to learn new skills, specifically to have this paradigm shift that they are no longer a realtor, they're a fucking media company. Okay, they're a media company through and through, and that means that they have to learn how to turn on a camera, how to edit the footage, and how to distribute that footage properly.
And so you feel like that's a necessity in today's market.
It is a necessity in all capital letters. Correct.
Wow. I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the days of door knocking, the days of cold calling, the days of trying to get a stranger on the phone with a text message or a phone call, like those are kind of dead.
Right. Nobody
you know,
wants
dead
to be
or
sold.
dying. So you've got to find a way to capture attention and then eventually provide enough value so they're willing to give you their information to reach out, right? And,
Yeah.
and it's that type of content that allows you to do that. But you don't need that stuff to sell a house, right? So I guess that's like the whole example you gave of the dog. I love that. It's great creative. The outcome that you're looking for is not selling that house. The outcome is providing great content that's going to draw people to you as the realtor.
Well, let's reverse engineer selling a house. So obviously, irrespective of what somebody qualifies for, okay, let's just look at selling a house separate from that. To get a house sold, you have to get people into the door to check out the home.
Sure.
In order to get people into the door to check out the home, you need to get people interested in that home. Well, how do you get them interested in that home? You have to get them to click on a particular link or to
But
go
in
into
today's
a particular
but
direction.
in today's
Sure,
market,
agreed.
all you got to do to get someone interested in a home is listing it.
That's so pathetic, though. Yes, I
But
agree
true.
with you.
But
I
it's
agree.
true.
Yes.
It is true.
But it's true.
But it won't always
It
be
is
like this. You know,
Correct.
It won't always be like this. I think eventually there's something to be said. But I'll give you an example. Like I had a partner in mind at the last place I was at. His name was Sal Cusmano. He did a lot of business and he didn't do any marketing,
Mhm.
right? Any at all. Meanwhile, I'm trying to do podcasts and
Yeah.
I'm trying to do videos and I'm doing all that. So like, there's different ways to skin a cat, in my opinion.
Totally.
Right. So I don't think it's necessary to be this media mogul to have success in a business. But he had me on the back end kind of pushing the brand for him.
Totally.
well,
Does that
again,
make
it's
sense?
it's your goal too, right? Like, so some of my partners who have been in business 10, 15 years, they don't need to do anything. All they need to
right.
do is,
Right.
continue to maintain relationships with people they've sold houses to and
Right.
be relevant, right? That's all they have to do. But if somebody comes in and just gets their real estate license or they're in their first 0 to 4 years, you've got to fuel the fire, right?
Correct.
You're focused on talking to people you don't know, getting people interested, pulling them in.
Yeah.
So it depends on the state that you're at in your business. Like
Yeah.
if you've got a big SOI, yeah, you're good.
Sphere of influence. For
Yes,
those that-
sphere of influence. yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And I wonder when you talk about people that have been in the business for a long time, they've had the opportunity in other environmental like marketing dynamics to be able to build a Rolodex of relationships in a different way.
Yep.
Right. And so like for me personally, when I think about door-to-door sales, right, there's an idea that there are only 4 reasons why people do something. It's fear of loss, sense of urgency, the Jones effect, or indifference. And indifference mostly is, in my opinion, the best one in the world of real estate nowadays, because nobody likes to be sold. When you're calling like a for sale by owner, they they don't want to hear from a realtor.
No.
And so typically what I do is when I talk to a for sale by owner, I say, listen, you know, I'd be the first realtor to tell you that you don't need a realtor.
Right.
You know, because now that's the most extreme form of indifference possible. Because now I'm like the antithesis of what a realtor would say. Because a typical realtor would say, well, but you know, my brokerage, you know, we do this, that, and the other thing. It's
Right.
like, well, nobody cares. Okay. They want to know that the person that they're talking to agrees with them. And when you're able to say, hey, listen, you don't need a realtor, but what you do need, you need great media. You need great marketing materials. And right now, as just a for sale by owner, the pictures are fine, but you're only displaying those pictures on Zillow and on realtor.com. You know, what we really should be doing is creating some great marketing material and some media material, and then distribute that out on multiple different social media platforms. So that way you can aggregate those clicks back to that listing that you have. And, you know, again, you don't need a realtor to do that. But what you do need is you need the ability to turn on a camera and to edit footage and then distribute that properly, which is, by the way, part of the reason why I'm stressing that if you want to survive as a realtor nowadays, you need to be able to have those skills because of the fact that the consumer base is now getting more intelligent and they don't necessarily need a realtor anymore. And so the ability to get listings and even just get in the door to have a conversation about a potential listing, even if it's just to help them create marketing materials, is going to be available for you if you know those skills.
So you think marketing overall is a huge part of what a real estate agent does in today's market?
I mean, it's 90% of what they need to be doing.
Marketing should be a huge part of what they're doing. And a lot of agents might not see it that way. A lot of agents don't want to deal with marketing at all. They just, they just, you know, they don't get it, or they don't want to get it. But, you know, what we're trying to do here at Real Team, I think is kind of poignant, is where we're going to take the marketing burden off the real estate agent and try to create a marketing system here internally so that people are getting that good marketing. Because I don't think, to your point, you're going to get Premiere Pro realtors and Premiere cutting up their own videos all in unison.
It's kind of,
right.
You know, it's kind of like you said, you know, we need to be creative ad agencies, right? Really, and the mini creative ad agencies. And that's what we're trying to build here with Real Team. Is we are a real estate company. We obviously, our business is selling homes, but our real business is recruiting great agents and providing them with everything that they need to get their name and get out there. Right. So we're basically an advertising agency for our realtors is kind of the role that we need to play for our agents.
Yeah. And that's a good way. That's like an organizational thing, right? So like, if depending on where you hang your license as a real estate agent, you may be forced to learn the skills that I'm talking about, or you may be able to plug and play into a team that provides that infrastructure for you.
Right.
And so there still will be a place for people that don't learn those skills that I'm talking about. Definitely, without a doubt. And underlying those people's success, though, is the skills that I'm talking about.
Yeah, I agree. Whether they do it themselves or they have it done for them, the fact is they need to do it.
Yeah.
Who are some of the agents right now that you think are doing some good things around us?
I really like Ross Rawson the third.
The third, third of Rawson. Yeah,
he was with Real Team when he got his real estate license.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, great guy.
I like Dylan Tent.
Dylan does some good stuff.
Dylan's at my office, Signature Sotheby's in Birmingham.
Yep, Dylan does a good job.
You know, one thing that I think is really cool is that he plays off of like, I'm going to use very layman's terms here, but like, you know, he's kind of like a superhero in some sense with that helicopter.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so grandiose that it gets people to imagine what that next level of luxury is really like.
Yep.
And then he's able to create the videos in such a way that are very playful. You know, he put water on the ground, you know, like he was watering a flower, and then all of a sudden a bunny popped up on the soil in the front yard of a house. You know, and
he plays off a lot. I mean, we've had him on the show. And
Yeah.
he's awesome. He does a lot of good stuff. I mean, he's in a suit on a jet ski, just getting sprayed with water. You know what I mean? And he's done
created an identity for sure.
For sure.
I think Schaffner does a good job too.
Schaffner does a really
Schaffner
good
does
job.
a great job.
He does a good job of like just talking to the audience, right? He's always
Exactly.
looking in the camera. And he's
Shaffer
always
does a
like,
really
it's
good
just
job.
like he's talking right to you.
Exactly.
I think Sheil Sohal does a good job. I think even these agents that maybe don't have high production, like oh god, who am I looking for? They don't have high production, but they have high frequency. I think high frequency helps, right? They might not have the skill set to create videos, but they're out there, and every day you're getting a few posts from them. I think that's.
Here's a question: What C is more important, creative or consistency?
Consistency.
Yeah. Gosh,
Consistency.
I don't know.
Jeff, go
I-
fuck yourself.
no,
One of the
you guys,
biggest
I
problems
don't
you
know.
have is consistency.
No, listen, I agree that consistency is extremely important, but I also know that creativity is extremely important too, because like we're talking about, like, for example, you guys are hyped up about this podcast space,
Yep.
right? The creative quality of this space is leaps and bounds better.
Yeah,
than
but we already had
Zoom.
one of our cameras died.
Nobody knew that until you just said it, Paul.
Right, one of our cameras died. We've got fingers in the shot where right. So
Listen, people are looking for authentic, Paul.
I get it, but what I'm saying is but we were I'm consistently doing this fucking show every week.
Correct. You do show the consistency. I agree with you, but I guarantee you're going to see the numbers considerably improve because of the creative quality of the environment now,
Sure.
right?
So
Sure.
can we call it a math problem? It's
I would
creativity times consistency equals ultimate success.
100%. That's they're very reasonable. And like from a creative standpoint, working with businesses to create creative content, there's a lot of pressure to have that high quality, but pump it out as fast as you possibly can.
Right.
And that leaves a lot of creative people very stressed out.
For sure.
I've talked to a lot of people that go to like College of Creative Studies in downtown Detroit, which is like one of the best, creative schools that you could go to here in Michigan. And the one thing that they get stressed about when talking to their professors is that their professors there force them to pump out work as quickly as possible with very minimal sacrifice on the creative quality of it.
Well,
Got it.
And
Where can we find?
yeah,
some of
where
those
can we
people?
find those people?
well, there's a guy sitting on your couch right now who, happens to understand the game a little bit.
right?
Yeah, but you're not consistent enough for me.
Well, if
No,
you can
you're
be
right.
consistent and he can be creative, it sounds like
Yeah.
a good match.
Totally.
Yeah, I don't know.
I do stress.
I
heavily.
put a lot of value on consistency.
I agree, and I put a lot of value on creativity.
Totally.
That's
I
awesome.
get that.
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, you be as creative as you want, but if you only do one post a month, it's not going to do you
Correct.
fuck all.
I agree with
Well,
that.
what's the most famous podcast going right now? Is Rogan.
Joe
right?
Rogan.
Right.
Yeah.
Very little creativity involved. Great conversations.
Content is great.
He does have extreme consistency. I guess there's creativity there just because of the way that he can talk and bring guests in. That's the creative aspect,
Right,
I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's creativity, but it's not whatever. So guys, we're running out of time.
I love
So,
it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that was fun. That was quick.
That was quick. So we do 3 questions on the show.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you 3 random questions, and then you've got to ask them,
Okay.
answer them. Excuse me. First question I'll ask you is, what is it about Jeff Rutledge that you don't want people to know about?
That my overly competitive nature has a toxic side.
Okay. There we go. That's very good.
It's very
That's
honest.
Yeah, that's a very honest question.
Look at him getting vulnerable. I
Yeah,
like
that's
it.
vulnerable right there. I like that. Next question is, if you had to eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
Oh, jeez, guys. This sounds disgusting, but the chicken Alfredo from Applebee's.
It's
Wow.
Applebee's specific.
Applebee's, okay.
I know it's trash, but it's so good. I don't know what they do to the chicken. I don't know what they do to the noodles, and I definitely don't know what they do with the sauce. But it's delicious.
It's a magical
I'm
dish.
gonna have
for
to
you.
try that. I don't think I've ever
It's
had it.
so
Never
good.
had it.
So good.
Most people would have just said
Paul,
chicken.
Applebee's for lunch?
Fuck that.
Yeah, nobody would pick pasta from Applebee's in general.
No.
Okay, so
No.
Well, hey, you like what you like. I respect
yeah,
that.
I do.
I would have
Yeah.
picked that too. Just saying.
Oh,
Oh,
thank
wow.
you. I
Whoa,
appreciate
Natalia,
that.
our producer, chiming in right now.
Wonderful.
I'll back
Totally
them up on that one. I go to Applebee's.
Have you had
for
this?
lunch.
Have you had this
Yes,
dish?
I have it like twice a month.
Wow.
Really?
Yes,
thing.
because it's on like the 2 for $26, and it's like
It
my
is.
favorite thing there.
2
Yep.
for 26. All right.
But it
Yeah, so
is
not only do
lacking
I-
in the salt department. I will say that, but besides that, we're good.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, but you can always add salt, and you know what? I would highly recommend also adding additional Parmesan.
Oh,
Oh,
I never
just
thought of
in
that
case
one.
anybody wants.
I'm gonna try that one next.
Yeah, you're welcome.
you guys should go out for lunch sometime.
Yeah, totally.
It sounds like a match made in heaven. Very odd that Natalia, my producer, knows exactly what you're talking about. And then let's see here. Last question. If you could change one thing about real estate in general, what would it be?
After he goes, I got one I want to answer on that.
Yeah.
If I could, it's anything in real estate. You're saying so this is a wide open
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Anything in real estate that you would change?
Well, I would just change that. There's going to be stronger requirements to get a license.
You want a higher barrier of entry into the profession.
Yeah, I think so. Like when I first
Okay.
got licensed, here in Michigan, and it's different in every state. Like where my brother lives in Arizona, he had to do 98 hours of class. Here,
I think we're pretty weak here in Michigan.
yeah, in
compared to
Michigan it
other
was
states.
40 hours, and I
40
felt
hours,
very
right?
ill prepared going into my first, month of real estate.
Your real estate license, getting your license doesn't prepare you for just
I
like
know.
getting your mortgage license does not prepare you to be a loan officer.
Yeah, and I think that's problematic.
It's super problematic. I think it should be. I personally think it should be like it could be in college. It could be like you
It
could have
is.
a
CMU, baby. Central
CMU.
Michigan.
has a real
They
estate
have,
course.
they have a real estate program now.
No shit.
Yeah.
I did not know that. So I think it should be like. I want the barrier of entry of my profession to be high. Like when we got into the NMLS and we
Mhm.
got into licensing, and it became harder to become a mortgage loan officer. I loved that. I was like, yeah, you can't just jump off the street and be a loan officer. Like the harder it gets to get into my profession, I think the better it is for that profession.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I agree. And
Yeah.
and just the more prepared you are, like I'm thinking about this from like an athlete's perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, like I'm not just going to get on a professional soccer field without tons of practice, hours upon hours of running, working with the ball,
Right.
working with my team.
Right.
Like that's the preparation necessary for just 90 minutes of a soccer game.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. So when I think about the most important purchase of a person's, life,
It's a huge purchase. It's not important. It's also one of the largest.
it's
Yeah.
the
It's
the largest
yeah,
financial transaction for most people
correct.
in their lives is buying a house.
And then some people, not only is it just for personal reasons, but some people buy and sell homes as their business. And
Right.
so for them to be represented by somebody who truly understands what they're doing
Yeah.
would have helped me tremendously. Like I had to learn everything essentially from the streets here in real estate because that 40-hour class didn't do
No.
anything.
It teaches you how to pass the test.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what it does.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for answering that question.
Yeah.
We are done, boys. This is the first real episode in our new podcast studio. Thank you, Jeff, for
Thank you
being
for
on the
having
show.
me.
Tell the audience how they can get a hold of you, man.
So you can just go to michiganrealty.org. That platform is really what we're building out so that we can have a Zillow competitor
Yeah.
here in the state of Michigan. And you can reach me at jeff@michiganrealty.org or 248-906-5926.
All right.
And just give me a call, shoot me a text, whatever's easier.
All
Good
right.
job.
Well, that's a wrap, everyone. Thank you for listening in. For those of you that are listening on the podcast, thank you for listening all the way through. If you made it all the way through, awesome. Please like, share, subscribe our show. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss an episode. Go to irepodcast.com if you want to send us a message. You can go to Facebook.com/IRE podcast if you want to see us live. You can also go to YouTube. You can Google us, IRE Podcast, Inside Real Estate Podcast. You can go to Amazon, do one of those. We're everywhere that you need us to be as far as podcasts go. So we're on Spotify. We're on all of them. We're on every podcast app you can think of.
We're on like over 30 of them, I think. So it's
Yep,
like
we're on over 30
fun.
podcast apps. So we are everywhere. And we, hopefully we get a listener or two listening in because, we need more listeners. So if you like the show, pass it on to your friends. Share it. Share the fuck out of it. But thank you all. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.